Also I can see available in, I can here see my cabinet. I have to have a flash component, double click here, and you can see how you arrange your shelf. No need to have an Excel sheet, no need to figure anything. Also, here,
قوي جدا.
your ALGSN numbering, your synchronization option of the system, your UGN, and your ISDN addressing, username and password if you like your system. You can go here for system data and change the ASYP index that you like. What the system that index that you already changed maybe? Let's say index 8. Index 8 is related for the number of tenants. And you can simply edit it from here. That's it. Also, you can check your licenses, how many phones you have, if the activation code is set.
Also use the use and free licenses.
Yeah.
Version?
This one.
Then it should be.
Virtual timing.
People can change your incoming calls without system level. And then you have how many routes you have
The 4000 is only management platform.
and billing platform. I mean for 1000 system and express one too. And here also you can make your feature wizard.
I'm asking, can we try it on virtual machine?
It's a virtual machine.
Oh,
And you can do it with appliance server. You can have this virtual machine with appliance server. And you can have a lot of
we can try it without license or as busy
for 60 days.
for 60 days.
Here you have a quick guide for most of the use feature. Here you can check your redundancy if you have redundancy devices. If you want backup and restore, it's all available. This user can be integrated, for example, here, the extension that. What's the extension that we recently created? 6000?
6000 is 3000, 2001, 2.
Sammy.
Here you can select your phone type. Simply you can manage your phone or advanced view. Choose the advanced one here. Where you want to show the message waiting. What is the MID that you have? And here you if you want to set the DID. You can change the phone time also. And it shows currently the status of the phone. Maybe you can change the phone type to any kind of phone you like. Maybe you can check your line better. Also, you can change your call forwarding from here, web access, class of service, telephone number, speed dial, phantoms, buttons. You can set here this button for which purpose it's used. Everything you want. Also, you can integrate again with SIP extension. You can integrate it with voicemail if you want. You can make a range of programming for a set of extension. You can integrate with Active Directory. You can integrate with expense management. You can integrate with LDAP or any kind of integration you can do from anywhere.
Why you install it in the virtual machine? Why not in your PC directly?
You can. I don't need it. I'm not a found guy. So I just want it in a virtual machine where I can just change it anytime.
The expense management is an add-on on this software.
No, it's a different database. Well, this is mainly used for management. The good point here for this system management, here I have one system, but in one of the network, we already are managing 500 systems from one PC group, one Mac 1000. With all the systems, we create a complete user database for all the users. So you search for the user from this network, and that's it. So it's a centralized management solution.
Where we can see the alarms of the system.
Yeah, you can, you have, this system have a assembly trap. Here's the alarm setup. You can, for example, see all kind of event that you would like to have it. And there is an alarm agent which integrates with the FTP alarm. And you can make a routine backup every day to make a MMHDD and take an office backup copy in the system. In the automatically. You can make a demo for 60 days.
The other time for billing, it's enough that no need to buy from Tiger or something to use it.
It's also they have the same powerful tools. It's even much more
If it's just for billing, not for PMS.
much more than better than any other application because it has a lot of modules.
But can't integrate with Fidelio, with Opera.
It's not the BMS tool. It's
Oh, it's not PM, just for billing.
From the name, it's expense management.
Mm.
And here in the business that I could show you, and we make a billing for a complete network for Avaya, Cisco, Alcatel, Siemens, and NEC in the same expense management.
Mm.
The no license you go with 30 days.
30 days.
What type of license we have to download from here?
Only for licensing. If you want to make it
The software for it.
software. We have to download the software from the bulk FTP. You can manage multi-site. It's really fully scalable, and it's now a web-based application. And it's also integrated with the NEC CAS technology that for protection. And the training of this one, free of charge. If you want to learn. Also, recently we could add language modification that you can Arabize or change it to your language if you like. And there's also some additional tools like private call management, tenant resale management, or any kind of management application that can be integrated with Express Management. If you have very customized CRM requirement, Express Management can do. Clear?
Clear.
You would like to go for lunch or should we continue with the script?
Available.
Up to you. For me, I can continue.
أنا بالنسبة لي أكمل.
Software. This is for appliance, this is for standard. This one.
I'll just talk about the new subjects.
Khaled, how can we decode
Decode what?
this message? This.
You cannot read.
You have to go for the business manual. Read it from there.
Okay. أنا مبدئيا عرفت I knew how to decode this, those two اللي هو التاريخ والduration.
Go for the manual and see.
Business manual version 5.
About subject, it's not there you will flash it, but I will just highlight it, which is the IEEE 9.8.21X, which is the verification of devices using radio server. The server and PC can be connected to the have a PC board which can be authenticated by 8.21 authentication function as a DT800. In this kind of network where you have a device, you have subliant and or authenticator and the radius server. The subliant is such as 8085, which is then connected to an NBC connected. Authenticator is a LAN switch, and the radius server is the server where the verification happens. You have this kind of network, Ethernet network connected to the phone, and the phone connected to a PC. Phone and PC are called as a subliant. And also the switch is the authenticator, the one who will authenticate. You are allowed or not allowed. And based on the authentication policy that radius server said, you are allowed to log in or not to log in. If you are not authenticated as an authenticated device in layer 3, simply you are not allowed to log into the network. You will not get any idea from the DHCP server or any information. There is two types of authentication. One is the EAB and the EAB over LAN, which we cannot use this on the MAC addresses, and that can be in many other formats. And this is how the radius server authenticator is really working. From the subliant, which is the phone, and the authenticator, which is the switch, message of authentication started, and the request of identification come. And once the request of identification come, they will send the request to the radius server, and the radius server will reply of allowed or not allowed. After that, the data exchange allowed. If not allowed, it will immediately accessible. Three-way. Yes. This is for most of the enterprise network. They start to implement this kind of devices because they want to avoid any unauthenticated subliance, like phone, mobile, anything. This is just a description about the access request, and here you can from Wireshark just filter out the radius messages, and you see the authenticator parameter that you are doing.
There's a protocol called radius.
Yes.
Okay.
Radius is the server who do. The protocol is 8.2.1x. This is the protocol.
Okay.
The radius is the server who do the authentication process, and the authenticator is the switch who transact the switches, the authentication.
But I'm asking about the Wireshark procedure. If, let's say,
Wireshark is showing what's happening.
Yeah, but regarding to the filtration, for example, if we type SIP, we find SIP messages. Here we have to type radius.
Yes, we have to write down the radius because it's the radius TCP or authentication message. By the way, it's not enough to filter out the radius. And this is a completely different course called Wireshark course. Yeah, it's very, very different subject. And these are NEC terminals supported with this protocols. For example, the new NEC phones like DT820 support even TLS. Not only supporting EOB over LAN, it's also supporting TLS. As authenticator, we already tested like Cisco switches, Ruker, and NEC switches. And the radius service could be NetState or any other kind. But all of these are tested together. This can be authenticated as well. I think from 95 side, there is no much setting, but the major thing is happening from the phone itself, that the DSV server should be enabled, the VLAN should be enabled, and subliant should be authenticated, and the method of authentication should be allowed. Then the security option should be enabled, and the password should be set. And also some type of switch like the NEC switches have additional functionality in EABOL VLAN authentication. Also, you can submit your EAB TLS certificate on the 95, and you can upload it to the phone as well. You can set the certificate password and delete it. It can be self-signed certificate or public certificate. There is nothing, no much sitting in the 95 itself. mainly terminal-related authentication. There's additional description about EAB types and what type of EAB you could find.
Actually, MD5, but
And the further authentication protocol security protocol. We'll talk about it now. This just for give you overview. Maybe you'll come to the customer, he could find this kind of, where you can find such requirement. So now you know that NIC can do it. Security. It's an important subject nowadays. It's very old subject also. I can show you a little bit old stories. In 2002, in ZDNet, news that hacker attacks eBay accounts. It's a disaster. US port hit by UK hacker. You will see 2003. And every recent one happened in Saudi, that they account all the hack all the bank accounts in credit card account for one of the companies. If you look, this could be that CA state agency warned the security branches, NASA site hacked. All of this are really big attack, major attack. In the old days, like in 1980, it was really sophisticated to do any kind of hacking, and it's really very low chance that you may have feel that you are being attacked, because the technical knowledge those days was really low, and it's really require a lot of study before you really know what the password can do. You have a laptop or a device that is connected to your network that can be attacked, and the simple password, simple hacking one, yeah, that I know Abdullah is married and he have a daughter. Her name is Aisha, for example. I will write his name, his daughter and her birthday. So this is the password guessing. Day by day it's improved. That people start to crack the passwords. More or less it's come to backdoors in the firewalls and the switches, and the spyware, those attacks. And it's really become more serious that in the last 5 years how many security attacks you have. Because the level of knowledge required, you just Google how to hack a Facebook account. You'll find a lot of methods. In the old days, it really required a lot of study. So, from point of telecom server, we are going to be connected to an IT network. We have really to understand what kind of risk we may expect if we connect our IP phones to the networks. So we have to understand what could be the motivation of someone to hack. It could be curiosity. Yeah, I know that Abdullah have a lot of chat with someone. I really would like to look at his WhatsApp, but with whom he's chatting. Maybe I'm a little bit curious. By the way, ladies doing this much more. Yeah.
أكثر من FBI.
Yeah. And also revenge. Abdullah, I keep doing a good example. Abdullah was working with one company and they just kicked him out, and he wanted revenge from this company. It happened in Jordan one time that the telecom company guy just kicked out and they cut all the internet line in the country. It happened, and let's say it's really happening. There is a Arabic saying, all the time the castles are broken from inside. القلاع لا تسقط إلا من الداخل. And there is a very old story about Aden in Yemen. There was a very big wall which protected the country from the water flowing. And they could find that there is small rat, find his root and he broke the complete wall. So normally, you have to protect yourself from inside first. Could be, momentarily again, that I would like, if I just make pressurize Abdullah and take his credit card, and I take his personal photos or his database, maybe he will be money to bring it back. Yeah. And also could be a national security. In this kind of war, nowadays, you expect anything. I was telling you about that day that after 15 years, or 10 years, that German could find that US was spying Angela Merkel for 10 years. And it was a threat from a voice over IP system. Simply, they are talking about what all German moves left and right, American move before the Germans. It's really a kind of national threat, and also could be competitive. Yeah, if Cisco could get to an NEC server or NEC could get to an NEC to servers, to Cisco server, we could learn from each other and we could maybe spoil the market based on the competition. And this happened many times with the Chinese and American companies. Many times the competitor hack each other server. And sometimes you find that Apple and Samsung, they raise a lot of cases together and they could find that someone hacked from Apple and Apple hacked from Samsung, and a lot of cases in the course. But the simple thing, there could be a motivation to do this, and it's really increased day by day. If you look for the curiosity effect at advanced level, it's really limited. But here you have departments and a lot of people who are just doing their job to spy others.
Regarding this, and you talking about the hackers, how to enter to the server, all ports, they are closed in our system, or we have to close these ports.
Next, we talk about. We need first of all to understand what kind of a threat we are expecting. After that, we are talking about it. But first of all, we have to understand what kind of threat we may expect, and what is the best security analysis that we are expected to do in our system. The security weakness in voice over IP network started from media gateway. And what if my media gateway I may have a miscellaneous attacker that they want to make a free calls, or while streaming that hacker can use my data sniffing and identify and notify. It's not only identify, notify, and store and play back my call traffic. They just sniff a complete call. And virus released by internal user could affect an application like BCT, application like expense management. Spoofing a person or booking miscoding another false in data. I say to Abdullah in BCT chat, hi, and he said for him something bad or it's really spoofing. Word scanning that someone just keep scanning our public IP address and keep scanning in order to identify which word is already open so I can try to log in inside. This is something very important. We name it security measures. When the police come, it looks like someone gained entry into your home and he gained access to your computer. Do you have a security measure in your place? The police asked. The guy said, sure. The key was under the map and my password was under the mousepad. What kind of we do all of this. In many cases, you will find all of your password and your information written down somewhere. If someone know that you are using this for this purpose, immediately he will screw everything. So you have to really be aware about your security measure, and you have to inform your customer what kind of security measure they have to do if it's come to the voice over IP. Security weakness in the voice over network mainly come from PC-based devices, because there is a lot of dangerous hole inside Microsoft. I cannot protect my phone, but I cannot protect my Microsoft. I'm not a Microsoft. Microsoft should protect themselves. And some unknown hardware encryption and its mechanism can add the latency. I cannot have a real stable network if I want to have the additional encryption machines. Encryption may affect the firewall, NATing, intrusion detection, protected system, firewall over SIP. Encryption may affect that I have encryption over my firewall, and my firewall really don't like my encryption method, so they don't allow my traffic. Server for call management, like which running over OS, can have a DOS attack, and they have a lot of viruses that could result in potentially sensitive data. Like if you call the police and you just say a bad word for the policeman, and their billing software that day is not working. Or you use your national database for the last call center for the civil defense. I'm talking about an accident, and it happened in many places in the world, not in the Middle East. Many places. Just a simple virus can screw everyone in an application. With 95 itself, 95 is still Linux space. It's very rigid. But again, we have to think about 95 and any other application connected to 95. Here is the security hierarchy that we expect to protect ourselves as a main phase. It's just a basic phase. We have layer 2 and layer 3 and we have a layer 5 and layer 6 for our application. If I want to have a call to my carrier, let's assume that I'm connected via MGSIP and MGSIP connected to internet, and once I'm connected to internet, I have to register to my carrier. So my traffic is passing from my application to my network. First of all, I have to do authentication. No one allowed to log into the system without password. Well, the default password of the system is the extension number. You can change it. We should change it. We must change it. Or we should not allow any user to be authenticated. We authenticate by ourselves based on the MAC address. Also, I have to enable my data to be encrypted. But no one allowed to make RTP traffic unless it's encrypted. That no one can really sniff my data, and if even he sniff my data, he will not find nothing to do here. And from network point of view, should be there an antivirus, a good firewall that will protect me, isolation in the network, like making a DMZ area, put all of my NAT devices there, and my network is completely separated from my outside world. So I have to be protected at least with 4 steps. Also, here you can add SBC in order to have a kind of layer 5 firewall, which really extra double security for your VoIP traffic only. Like firewall is working in layer 3. I can have a layer 5 firewall, which we name it SBC.
What is this white device of NEC?
This is
The
NEC white device.
White device. With the SV95.
It's media converter, like two port analog media converter. It was used with SC7000. The following elements can be connected to a network. Could be that phone, soft phone, media converter, 95 itself. An application can be connected like a MA4000, express management, that can be required to be secure. In the application we have a authentication server called CAS, Centralized Access Control Security Application, which really no one allowed to access a MA4000 system management or express management or BCT or MobiCore or any other NEC application without being authenticated by this server. So you are not accessing a MA4000 directly, you are accessing via CAS. You are not accessing express management, you are accessing via CAS. And once you are authenticated by the CAS, you are allowed to come inside the application itself. In the phone, we have to do authentication and decryption. Authentication is used by a server when the server needs to know exactly who is accessing this information. It can be used by the client to enter it. In the authentication, the user of the computer has to prove the identity by username or password. And the encryption is additional process to have a kind of reshared key that cannot be decrypted easily. There is a lot of authentication and security. Step can be done with NEC terminal. I'm not talking about SIP terminal, I'm talking about NEC terminal. In the phone, I can log in with the mean of username and password. If you remember in command ASECL, ASECL, we have to set one-time password.
Yes.
That means it's only used for one-time temporary password. Once this password is allowed in the system, this device who have the password can log in. So the basic authentication between media converters and server is based on a SQL command. You have to put in both sides. By default, for the terminal, you have to begin with the username and password, station number, and station number. Password can be encrypted. Again, you have to do two choice of encryption by MD5 algorithm, which is 128 little bit old, and NEC property. NEC property is more secure, by the way. In order to log in from my terminal, I have to specify my encryption algorithm, which one I'm using, by using of a ADTM command to change my registration service, or via SYDL command 848-bit7 to select which protocol I'm using. And if someone try to log in to my system without having a right login username and password, I cannot put an alarm. Also, I can set in my numbering plan access code that can be used to log in to the phone, and I have to enable in my system that IPv10 login is enabled. So I have to enable a service to assign my password for my login, and I have to enable a button of logout. Normally we do authentication via MAC address, right? Maybe you can do it in this way as well. This is the procedure that you need to implement to change the password of your phone. With a standard media converter like media converter for BRI, you have to sit in command second your password, and this password had to be verified again inside the terminal. And regular intervals for change this number. Normally I say enable a second for 1 hour only in the time of registration. Once you finish, disable